All right. Welcome, everybody. Let's see. Am I going to get some feedback? Everything good? Where's the feedback? Okay. All right. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of your favorite true crime and criminal culture talk show, the True Crime Talk Show, brought to you by Thought Riot Podcast. My name's Brendan. Malia is here. Can't you see her right here? No? Oh, okay. She'll be here any minute. So I'm going to kick us off. I'm going to get through the intro. I'm going to hope that she's here by the end of that intro. Maybe we'll make it an extra long intro. I don't know, but welcome, everybody. As you know, we are Thought Riot Podcast. You can find us on all major podcast platforms. You can find us on all major social media platforms. All you got to do is hop on any of them and search Thought Riot Podcast spelled all the way out. We're on, oh gosh, all the big ones: Google, Amazon, Spotify, Audible, Twitter, Discord, Facebook. We are on everything, everywhere, all at once, omnipresent. And we want you to be on there with us, everybody. So hop on there. If you are not a major social media person, that's okay. I'm not really either. But we still have a good time on there. So, you know, if you ever want to hop on there and you want to get some live updates, that's where we do our live updates at. So what are we getting into tonight? Now, we just went through 2 days of back-to-back Idaho4 only videos. I feel like I'm having some Idaho4 withdrawal already. I mean, it was a lot of Idaho4 all at once, right? Going all the way back to the beginning. If you guys haven't watched those videos, I highly suggest that you do check them out. They were good. They were really good videos. And there were a couple different times in there that we found information that I didn't previously know, like Brian Kohberger waiving his rights and talking to law enforcement. That was a big one. And I've seen quite a few people talking about that just recently on a lot of the social media platforms. So there were just a lot of good gems in those 2 videos from the 2 previous days. What was I going to say? Malia's here, kind of caught me off guard, but yeah, so we're going to dig into a little bit of Idaho4, just brief touch on a couple of the things, and get into some Mica Miller, which is, am I pronouncing that right? Is it Mica?
Yeah.
Okay. Mica Miller, which is a horrible, sad, extremely sad case that honestly, I don't even know what to think about it. I don't know where to go with it. I've already done the intro. If you want to give a brief intro, I already told them that you would be coming. But yeah.
Yeah. I know we were going to talk about Mica Miller, but are we going to talk about anything else?
Well, Sebastian Rogers.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Mica Miller. And any Idaho4 updates, minor things that have come up, other than, like I said, one of the big Easter eggs that we found, I guess we can touch on. So we are going to answer your questions. That's probably one of the things people are wondering. All the Q&A. I copied and pasted every single Q&A that you guys put up there, okay? We value that. We want your opinion. We want your questions. We want to know all about it. So we saved them all. We are going to go through and answer them all. You know what? I guess one more thing to touch on. So the chat, you guys, I think some people are just a little bit surprised because some people got sniped on here over the past few days. Listen, we have to clean up our chat, okay? We have some madness going on in here. We have people complaining that people are not staying on topic, that it doesn't have anything to do with the investigation, that it doesn't have anything to do with the topic. So viewers, be warned. If you are on here and you are not on here in good faith, it doesn't matter if you've been with us since day 1 of the podcast. It doesn't matter if you've been with us for 1 day of the podcast. If you are one of those people, you can get sniped in the chat, okay? And that is just to keep it on point for the people that are here to learn, for the people that are here to grow with the podcast, people here that are here to think tank. You know, nobody is safe from that. We appreciate all of you, but we all got to work together as a singular community here to make sure that we are staying true to the goals and the plan of the podcast, right? We're here to think tank. We're here to dissect things. We're here to break things down, build them back up, look inside out, top to bottom. And the only way that we can do that is if we are on topic and good faith. And I think the people that are on here in bad faith, they know who they are, you know? So the people that are here in good faith, you don't have anything to worry about. You already know that. People that are here in bad faith, you know, maybe you're offended by it. I don't know. But you know who you are. So just let's stay on topic. Let's keep it clean. PG, right? PG-13, whatever you want to call it. This is a family-friendly show, and we are going to dig right in.
All right.
Now I can breathe. Okay.
You can breathe now?
No, that comes easy to me. Talking is easy.
I guess nature. We'll go through Sebastian Rogers updates first.
Okay. Let me pull up a picture here.
Yeah, go ahead. You could also pull up our tweet. It has a picture of him on there.
Well, you pick which one, tweet or picture?
I mean, you can put that one up there for now until you find the tweet. But
well, I got other stuff to do.
Okay. So, Sebastian Rogers, did you hear about the picture yet?
I have not. I mean,
okay,
well,
so
first let me ask you what, because you brought up the picture 2 nights ago, and if it's that, then yeah, we talked about that. If it's something completely new, then I probably haven't heard about it.
Okay, so you didn't see what I tweeted?
No, no way.
Okay, so Sebastian Rogers is a 15-year-old boy who disappeared from Hendersonville, Tennessee. He was reported missing February 26. He is autistic, and recently, people thought there was a sighting in North Carolina because of a picture that was posted to social media. The cops were looking into it. There was a statement the other day saying it was not AI generated. And then today, the Sumner County Sheriff's Office put out a media release saying the boy in that picture is not Sebastian.
Okay, so law enforcement.
Yeah.
Okay.
The media release is on our Twitter. That's why I was telling you to pull it up.
Okay. How did family members get it so wrong?
What do you mean?
I just feel like people that were very close to him. I'm not trying to be judgmental. I'm not trying to come off like a jerk. I am just surprised that family members that would see him on a daily basis would get that wrong. You know, there were, and again, I do not mean this in bad faith, but a lot of people had a lot of faith in that picture. I, for one, wasn't. This is not an I told you so moment, but I was one of the few people that was like, no way, there's just no way. It's too perfect. But a lot of people believed in it. So do we know any details? Was that a bad faith photo? Was it?
Can you pull up the media release?
Where is it?
On Twitter.
Okay. Well, I'm still not done doing what I'm doing, but I can pull it up.
It's just go to our profile. It's that easy. Oh. So, I mean, I don't think it was a bad faith photo. We know that the private investigators for Seth Rogers, the biological father, yes, his private investigators talked to the woman that took the picture, talked to the woman who shared the picture on social media. So I don't think it was bad faith. I don't think it was a fake photo or anything like that. And that's not what this media release says. It just says it's not Sebastian.
Okay.
I'll read it if you can hear. Hold on.
Can't pull it up on there.
I'll try to. It just... Hold on. I know some people don't watch the screen, so you'd probably prefer that I just read it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
The chatters and watchers compared to the people who listen is probably literally like 10 to 1.
Okay, dear media representatives, we would like to provide an important update regarding the recent photographs circulating in connection with the search of Sebastian Rogers. After coordinated efforts with law enforcement agencies in North Carolina, we have determined that the child depicted in the photograph is not Sebastian Rogers. We understand the gravity of the situation and the concerns it has raised. Our collaborative efforts with law enforcement agencies continue unabated as we remain committed to finding Sebastian. We appreciate your cooperation and support in disseminating this update to the public. Oh, so look, it doesn't appear from, and I know a lot of people, well, you're right. A lot of people had faith in this picture. A lot of people also did not. There was quite a lot of people I saw mentioning they believed it was photoshopped. They believed it wasn't real. And then there's quite a lot of people who said, well, it's probably real, but it's just not Sebastian. It's like a doppelganger. We have not gotten any kind of confirmation that this was photoshopped. We've gotten a lot to the contrary. A lot of evidence suggesting that it was not photoshopped. So, I'm not here to tell you what to believe. I think you should just, make up your own mind. But the fact of the matter is the police are saying it's not Sebastian. So the photo is essentially null and void now, no matter if it were fake or real. Yeah,
I do know.
So from what I have been hearing being stated is the cops literally
it's
went.
It's kind of bittersweet.
It is bittersweet because I was hoping that this would be Sebastian and that he would be found. I know Seth Rogers, his father, really believed it was him, or at least was saying that. And I think that had them, hoping the FBI would get involved and things would pick up and they would, have Sebastian soon. But that's not how it turned out. It seems.
So I don't know what to say when it comes to that picture. And what I mean by that is that's one of those situations that's very hard to gauge. That's very hard to have an opinion on. It's very hard to say, we wish it was this way. We wish it was that way. We wish it was some other way in between. And what I mean by that, again, because I'm sure that sounds like a big old word salad, is if that was him in the picture, he could be in imminent danger. Okay. We don't know who those people were. We don't know what the goal of those people who could potentially have him were. Right. So he could have dodged, some harm if that was him in that photo. But at the same time, with it not being him, he's still missing. And that's what I mean by it being a bittersweet moment, is we don't seem to have any evidence right now. There seems to be no evidence whatsoever. Hey, Simple Jack, we appreciate you're in here and hanging out with us. One of the rules is no politics, though. So I appreciate your interest in politics, and I absolutely love politics, but I'm going to delete your comment here. All right. So, back to square one.
Essentially. Yep. Also we also got some further news that Seth Rogers, Sebastian Rogers' biological father, passed his polygraph. Nancy Grace just put out her episode on that, interviewing him, and he apparently passed it.
I mean, that is interesting, because for a long time there was a whole lot of debate when it comes to that too.
Even Chris Proudfoot going out there telling content creators that Seth didn't pass it.
And that was going to be my next interesting statement, is what does that mean?
So does that mean he was being spread things, word of mouth, people trying to put poison in his ear? Because remember, we saw those posts on social media of people saying, well, I know somebody who works with Nancy Grace.
Uh-huh.
And, she works on the set, and, he was falling asleep, and, they were so mad. Nancy Grace was so mad because it was inconclusive, and they're saying they have to fix this all somehow. You remember that? Reading that?
I don't remember that, but I believe you.
Well, there were so many things. Even somebody went as far as to make a fake Seth Rogers account and start tweeting things like that he was falling asleep during his polygraph and all of this stuff. Well, considering all the rumors online saying this before Chris Proudfoot ever told Gray Hughes that, yeah, I think that somebody was spreading poison in his ear.
Yeah, I think it's
and he was
possible.
like, ha ha ha, I passed my polygraph and you didn't. So
yep.
I mean, I can't blame him for being up. Look, if Chris Proudfoot had nothing to do with this at all, okay, and look, his interview with Cluminati, it made me feel a little bit differently, a little bit.
Yeah,
it opened me up a little bit more. And I was never trying to point fingers at them, but I'm not denying the extreme red flags I have seen. Okay, like there's some toxicity there. There has to be, in my humble opinion. There has to be some unhealthiness in that house, and I think it could have contributed to Sebastian running away. I think it could have contributed to whatever happened to Sebastian.
I'm right there with you.
So while I'm not trying to point fingers at any parents, because no parents are perfect, okay? Parents are deeply flawed like every other human on the planet, even though kids look at them like they're superheroes, you know?
Yeah.
So, but I don't know, like, if I were him and I were innocent and had nothing to do with this, and I'm upset and worried for Sebastian, and my wife is super, super upset and devastated.
Yeah.
I would be frustrated at Seth for spreading things around like that and causing even more turmoil in the public and having even more people coming at you.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, I agree with you. I do just want to say one thing though. So through the last couple days of the Idaho4 chat, by opening that Q&A, I think we're just going to start opening that Q&A every time we go live, because it's a very convenient way to highlight messages so we don't have to try and track them like we've been doing and hitting the star to flag them. So that Q&A will be open on there at all times. If you have a question for us that you specifically want us to read, you specifically want us to answer, go ahead and pop it in there and we will absolutely get to it. It
must be a relevant question. Okay.
I mean, you can put any question in there, but yeah, we're only going to answer relevant questions. I feel like that's a given.
Yeah, I know. I get it. But it could be abused is all I'm saying. Like, people could...
In the same way the chat's abused, and the same way the views are abused, and the same way anything's abused.
That's
we just
true.
choose if we're going to answer it or not. So go ahead and throw your questions in there if you got them, you guys. And yeah.
I'm just saying that, just so you guys know, if it's not a relevant question, it just won't be answered. But yeah, I'm happy to know that Seth passed his polygraph. I really wish that the police, if Chris passed his polygraph, would just come out and say that. It doesn't, you know what I mean?
I do, yeah.
Like, why? Katie came out and said that she passed hers, and Chris is claiming kind of indirectly that he passed his, and like, I just don't understand. I don't understand.
I don't understand either. I don't understand what the benefit is there. It makes him feel like he has some kind of buy-in with wanting the community in general, society, to look at Sebastian Rogers' father in a certain way, in a certain light. Why he would come out and say that? His stepfather?
Yeah, but I was saying, why
he's trying to control the narrative on the image.
I get that. But what I was asking is, why hasn't law enforcement came out? You don't have to clear the parents. You don't have to say they're cleared. But why not just say they passed their polygraph? Why not?
Wait, who?
Law enforcement have given Katie Proudfoot a polygraph, and Chris is claiming they've given him one now too. And that they're both claiming they passed their polygraphs, but law enforcement will not comment on it.
It's an open investigation. I don't think they should say that. I do not think so.
You don't think they should say they passed it?
No, I believe in complete and total transparency once an investigation's closed. I do not believe in transparency when there's an open investigation.
Yeah, but what could that harm? telling the public that they passed their polygraphs, not clearing them,
because
just saying they passed polygraph.
They could be suspects.
Yeah, but how does having the public suspect them help you?
So after they do a polygraph, they don't tell you your results unless they're trying to arrest you right there.
They don't tell you passed your own polygraph?
Absolutely not. Nope.
So you're saying Katie and Chris could not know?
Absolutely.
You're saying they don't know?
They could not know. They could not know, depending on where they're at. Absolutely.
Yeah, but they're both claiming they passed.
But the thing is polygraphs are for investigations, not court evidence.
Right.
They don't hold up in court. So what they do with polygraphs is they use them to target or highlight potential suspects. That suspect, like, you're not polygraphing to confirm that you are innocent or guilty. You're polygraphing to gather evidence for law enforcement to continue their investigation.
Okay.
So yeah, you're in an open investigation. There is no transparency, and I don't believe there should be. The whole point to a successful investigation is to bottleneck that information.
Okay. So not letting anybody know. Okay.
That's interesting. Well, I wonder why tonight they try so much harder to like control the YouTube algorithm like right in the beginning. I wonder if, do you think whoever's doing that like wants us to talk about Idaho 4 or not? It's super interesting.
I don't know.
YouTube is so crazy, dude.
Yeah, look, I don't.
And it would suck if our only income was YouTube. I'll tell you that. If these people are doing it to others that like their income is YouTube, man, I feel really bad for them.
Yeah.
But for us, like, I don't care. I'll talk about anything.
It's just such a dumb thing to do.
I know.
It's literally like,
it's trying to control a narrative. It's trying to control a topic. But you know, luckily YouTube income is like 10%.
Okay. So, right. No, I agree. Seth was at work and they're so, but here's the thing. We've been told by law enforcement that both dads, okay, stepfather and father, both of them have confirmed alibis as far as we know. Seth was at work, and he not only, he doesn't work just at a construction site, he works at a jail where there's cameras, where there's people who would tell other law enforcement if he was not there.
Okay.
In a with a disappearance of his child, like, I think that law enforcement would tell Sumner County Sheriff or TBI.
Well, of course.
At the jail. Yeah, they'd be like, yeah, he wasn't here.
I don't even feel like that's like worth debating or talking about.
No.
That's a given.
Yeah, Seth was at work.
Yeah.
Like, he was.
Yeah.
So now when it comes to Chris, everything we've heard is it's confirmed that he was at work too.
By what?
That's what police have said.
No, it is not what police have said.
I'm pretty sure.
No, police have not shared anything.
So the private investigators.
But everyone is saying police have said stuff. But what's real in this investigation is police haven't said anything.
The private investigators have talked.
Private investigators are not law enforcement.
So what, you think they could lie to private investigators?
No, I think that there is stretching of information here from private investigators, from true crime content creators. I'm including us in that, from everybody. Because that's just how society works. There's no way trying to fight it. There's no way trying to work against it. Listen, society and societal opinions are a rushing river. You will never, ever, ever, ever stop. The best you can hope to do is try and nudge it one direction or the other, but it's going to shoot forward no matter what. There's no stopping it.
That's a good point. And, you know, I saw Christopher in our chats make a really good point that not only does law enforcement sometimes tell you your results, but they also lie to you about your polygraph results. They'll tell you one thing.
They'll do whatever's best for the investigation.
They'll do whatever's best for the investigation. So technically, they could tell Katie and Chris they passed their polygraphs so that they think they're not suspects. If they feel that is best. I think they could have done
anything. And I just don't agree with this idea that law enforcement, and listen, I think a lot of people get what I say incorrect. where I expect transparency, and I am very hard on law enforcement, but understand that I'm saying I expect transparency and I am really hard on law enforcement. When I feel like law enforcement isn't doing their part and doing their job and they're not serving the public, not making their own personal decisions on what's best for the public. But if they're not serving the public, I have a problem, okay? Once the investigation is closed, if they are not transparent, I have a problem.
Yeah.
That's where I have issues.
Boone's Farm. So well, for one, Seth's polygraph was done by Nancy Grace, so not law enforcement. So she came out with those results.
Did get one from law enforcement too.
No. Seth Rogers has not. It's only from Nancy Grace.
That sounds like a really bad decision on law enforcement's part.
I'm pretty sure, unless something changed and I didn't know about it.
That would be an awful decision and an awful mistake.
So don't quote me. My memory could fail me, but I'm pretty sure it's only from Nancy Grace.
This idea that because of how I just want to paint the image here of how that looks, okay? That because of how Seth is acting, there's no way that he could be guilty, so they don't.
He was at work.
That doesn't make someone not guilty, though. That just means that he himself wasn't involved in the crime, the commission of the crime. That doesn't make someone not guilty.
What, of like coming up with a plan?
Absolutely.
Okay.
There is conspiring charges out there, and you don't have to be in the commission of the crime to be a part of conspiring to commit a crime.
Oh, trust me, I know. I've seen it.
So I still think they should have polygraphed.
Okay, so I know when he went on Nancy Grace, he said he had not, the first time he went on there, when she asked him to take a polygraph, he said he had not taken one. So maybe law enforcement reached out to him after he took Nancy Grace's polygraph and also had him take one, but I have never heard him say that. So I don't know. If you guys know, definitely put it in the chat or share the information. But I don't think he's taken another one. Remember, Chris Proudfoot said yes to Nancy Grace, but then backed out of it. But then supposedly he claims took one with TBI and claims that he passed it.
That is his stepdad, for people that are new here.
Yeah, and I saw Boone's Farm say, well, they told Chris Watts right away. They normally tell you right away.
That's because they were trying to arrest him right away.
Yeah, Chris Watts is not a good example because they had enough evidence already. Yeah. Like, they had enough to know something was really, really wrong there. And they used that polygraph and him failing it as a tactic to get him to confess.
Correct. Right.
So that was a very, very smart tactic on the part of law enforcement. And law enforcement
Watts was an awful liar.
Watts was an awful liar. Absolutely terrible.
Great.
And I saw somebody post a video of him the other day online. I don't remember who it was, but saying this is what a super incredible narcissistic liar looks like. And I'm like,
not true.
He was not good at lying. Everybody in the country saw past that. He is
not a sociopath. He was just a very weak man that was able to get manipulated by a good-looking woman. You know, that's what I think.
I think so too.
He's not a sociopath. Otherwise, he would have actually been the commission of the crime would have been a lot more intelligent, and the hiding of the crime
I don't think so. You could be
at a much more intelligent level.
You can be a psychopath and not be that smart.
Yeah. Yes, but the difference is mistakes are normally made not because of intelligence or IQ. Mistakes are normally made because your feelings have gotten involved in the crime and you're making emotional mistakes. Has nothing to do with actual intelligence. I'm gauging the intelligence level of the crime, like how intelligent the crime was managed, not someone's actual intelligence.
Yeah, and no, we're not fighting. This is just how we talk, you know? But yeah, I agree with you. I guess that makes sense now that you explain it that way, that you just take the emotions out of it, so you're just thinking logically.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Chris Watts is disgusting. I don't even want to talk about that, man. That is the case for me. Okay. That is the case that literally broke me it broke me when it happened. I followed it literally from the moment those little girls were missing, and Shanann Watts. And as soon as I saw him on TV, I knew it. It gave me so much anxiety.
Yeah, I mean, it was
was
awful.
horrible.
Yeah, it was definitely awful. It was definitely awful. And I see we have a whole bunch of people on here. If you want to be involved in the chat, you guys, that chat is on YouTube. Any of the other 8 platforms don't have a chat that's nearly, I think on YouTube we get, you know, the chat rate is like 10, 20, something like that. The other ones you're lucky to get, you know, a few. So if you want to be involved in the Q&A, if you want to be involved in the polls, that is on YouTube, my friends.
So I know we got a couple questions about Sebastian Rogers' case. So was South Carolina the location of both Sebastian fake photo and Mica Miller? So I believe Mica Miller was found in North Carolina, and that was one of the things that was odd, is like, what was her connection to where she was found? But the pastor, her husband, she was trying to divorce, who was, from all appearances, very abusive, and stalked her through the divorce, was in South Carolina. Sebastian Rogers' photo was in North Carolina. What is your most intense case that is close to you, meaning you are really involved in watching? I mean, it used to be the Watts case, like I just said, love Tina, but now it's the Idaho4 case, of course. I also really care about the Delphi case a lot too, but I don't know.
I don't have
it's been really stressful for me lately.
About a lot.
You don't have one that really bothered you?
No. Lately, everything. I mean, one that no, I don't think I've let in any of the cases get personal with me. I'm trying to think. The ones that tend to make me feel like they've gotten personal is gosh, and I'm gonna forget the name right now. Who's the boy on the swing set? Anything with children bother me. Sean Doherty. Yep. So Sean Doherty is probably one of the few, I can count maybe on one hand, cases that really got to me emotionally. And the Doherty case is, it's not Doherty. Is it Daughtry?
I don't know. So. I always hear it pronounced Doherty, so
okay,
I don't know.
It's the Sean Daughtry or Sean Doherty case where, and the reason why that bothers me so bad is there was a fluke in law enforcement where, like, look, kids are the ultimate thing that we as a society need to protect. I don't care how old you are. I don't care what your position is. I don't care if you're just a normal person walking down the street. Like, if you see a kid in trouble, do something, okay? Right. Do something. You have a frontal lobe. You're an adult. Do something. I agree. And to see law enforcement, who is there to protect and serve our community, to fail in such a horrible and ridiculous way, it drives me insane. And very quickly in that Sean Daughtry case, law enforcement started targeting the parents because the parents were bad-mouthing law enforcement when, like, dude, if you're in law enforcement, do you really not have enough experience and enough sense about yourself to be able to understand they lost a child and just drop it? Who cares what they're saying? They're hurting, going through trauma. Just do your job and they won't have anything to say anymore. And it became a he said, she said battle. And it was just the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. It has not been solved, and it is impossible for that child to do that to himself. It's impossible. That one gets that case is insane, because you're right. It is not possible for him to have done that. Yeah. He couldn't have. It's just
And it makes no sense. So Theodore asks, was the power washer story confirmed? And you're talking about Sebastian Rogers possibly being sprayed with a power washer. As far as I know, it has not been confirmed. The neighbor who talked to Crime Lines and Lies, which, I don't know her. I've never conversed with her, but I've heard really good things about her and that she vets her sources. Like when she has somebody on, she makes sure they are who they say they are. But obviously, I always believe in verifying for yourself. And I haven't talked to this neighbor myself, and I haven't talked to her myself. So all I know is what she put up there. Again, Crime Lines and Lies. And you can go there and hear the neighbor, the supposed neighbor, alleged neighbor talking. And to me, it does seem genuine. It does. And they claimed they took that footage, that the neighbor supposedly got the whole power washer thing on camera, and that they turned it over to law enforcement. Okay. And that they have called CPS on the Proudfoot family before.
Okay.
Because of Sebastian sleeping in the garage. I mean, the things that neighbor talked about are just horrific. It sounds, I mean, it's straight up abuse. It's straight up child abuse if that's what was going on. But we have no confirmation in reality. Okay. Somebody could have also duped Crime Lines and Lies too. Like we just
New
don't
poll
know.
Up.
So I always say,
here's my one concern with
take
that.
it with a grain of salt.
Here's my one concern with that though, is listen, something I've noticed in these cases is information will come out. It's almost like all this information is bait. Okay. And once somebody nibbles on the bait in the true crime community, then the fish comes out. Like, hey, you guys in the true crime community, did you know that Sebastian's stepfather sprayed him with a power washer? Okay. And then we get on here, we're talking about it. All kinds of other content creators are talking about it. One of the things we say is like, that's very subjective, because if you're, a foot away from the power washer, it's going to break skin. If you're 10 feet away, it's just going to lightly mist you, so which one is it? One's a joke and one's very serious, and then we see like a day or two later, well, actually, it's not just that he sprayed them, but now we actually have video footage of him spraying him. Oh, and by the way, that was also submitted to law enforcement. Look, one of the things we're going to have to do in the Sebastian Rogers case is track every single piece of evidence that's come out and what the community thought it was versus what the actual evidence was. Because I'm telling you, the current success rate in what the community hears and believes is happening in the Sebastian Rogers case versus what the actual evidence is so far off.
I bet you it is too.
It is the most far off case I think I've ever been a part of. It is so far off.
Who knows? The police literally could have evidence he was lured and just not be telling anyone, because this whole circus around the parents keeps whoever took him thinking, oh, there's no attention on me. There's no attention on me.
Maybe.
I think so.
That one's a hard one, because I do think that they would let the parents know as much as they could if they didn't think that they were involved. I do think so.
You think they would tell them they're lured?
Yeah. So I don't know if I want to get into the story. I had a friend one time, and that friend went down to Mexico, and they were literally kidnapped. Okay. And they were held ransom, and they had very rich parents. And they didn't include law enforcement at first, but they ended up including law enforcement at first. Law enforcement thought that there could have been some kind of in-family tie. So law enforcement pulled the parents to the side and were like, hey, we're gonna tell you this information, but I need you to promise me that you do not say anything to anybody anywhere. So in a situation like this, I think it's very possible that law enforcement could pull the parents in one at a time or something like that and be like, hey, since we know it's not you or trust that it's not you, this is what we believe, and you can't tell anybody anywhere, period, point blank, ever. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I would hope so. Otherwise, what are you doing, law enforcement? You know, you got to give a little bit of leeway. And the parents aren't the general public, and they aren't the true crime community.
Sure.
You know, it's very different, in my opinion. Very different.
I agree with you. I think it is as well. Absolutely.
Hey, let's keep it PG, please. Theodore.
So, Greg, I'll get to your comment in a second, because I'm going to try to find that information really quick, because I know I've looked it up before. Love Tina said, how did you two get started on this, and why did you take it further?
Wait, what?
Love Tina said, how did you two get started, like, with a true crime podcast, and why did you take it further?
I just take it further?
Like, continue it.
Oh, well, actually, well, I don't know what that means. I'm not sure. So, and we've told this story a lot, but I'll tell it again real quick while you're looking that up. So we actually started off as politics. I love politics, absolutely love politics, and the financial and anything financially related to corporate America, the stock market, like heavily invested in everything having to do with all of that. So I kind of wanted to do an everything podcast where we cover just any of the mainstream news and that, but those are the hardest podcasts to get off the ground. And true crime is such a great topic to be able to converse back and forth between two people, that it just gave us the platform we needed to be able to dive in and think tank, because I think both of us like critically thinking, and it's very hard to critically think when you're going back and forth between political topics, financial topics, Hollywood topics, and true crime topics. So we're just trying to cover too much. And, you know, we started covering more true crime. Then all of a sudden it was like 50% true crime, 50% other. Then it was like 70% true crime, 30% other. You know, then we just made the decision to true crime, period, point blank.
Yes. And yeah, well, we also found ourselves wanting to cover true crime. Like, we started becoming fascinated by certain true crime cases like the Idaho4, and we ended up putting way more time into crime than other things. And it just kind of naturally went that way as well. And we're like, we should just change it.
Yeah.
So this says crime statistics, and this is by the Child Crime Prevention and Safety Center. Non-family abductions are 28% of kidnappings that's what's committed by strangers. 28%.
Right.
That's it. That's a really low number.
Yeah.
Anytime a kid goes,
I was right that family-based abductions or connections or direct connection to the family are in the 70s, right? So.
It just says 28%. It doesn't give what the rest of that would be. So
I'm pretty sure it is.
It says family abductions are way more frequent than non-family abductions. So really it being an outsider is kind of rare.
It is. Yeah.
Which is,
we have a police out there that says, are police doing a good job in the Sebastian Rogers case? And remember, you guys, if you have that setting turned on your iPhone, because I think most of the people who watch us are iPhone watchers, you got to filter back and forth between top messages and all messages on the hamburger menu that's to the left of the X, to be able to answer the poll. So if you have a Q&A question, you hop over to the other drop down. If you want to if you want to vote on the polls, you got to do the other option.
Okay. And this also says on average, 2,100 children are reported missing every day in the United States.
Yeah.
But of this number, 800 turn out to be false alarms.
Okay.
False alarms, it's only 800, so that means what? 1,300 are not false alarms, and of those it's only 28% that would be strangers, and the rest would be family, people who are close to the victim.
Yeah, I think the false alarm statistic is much higher than that. What are you on?
Child Crime Prevention and Safety Center.
Okay. I believe that the false alarms are almost half. I'm pretty sure the false alarms are almost half.
Okay.
But I need to triple check that. It depends
almost
on where you're.
half. 800 out of 2,100. That's almost.
Yeah. I think yeah. You're right for sure.
I also saw somebody cite a statistic, and I don't know where they're getting it from, but they said that children are murdered 100 times more often by parents, and usually the mother.
Well, yeah, that we've talked about that statistic a lot. That's nothing new.
That's great. 100 times more likely to be murdered by your parent, especially your mom.
Yes. Isn't that insane?
Horrible.
It is a terrifying statistic.
I didn't know it was that high.
Is that it's true. It's true.
That's terrifying.
And hey, we appreciate that. I just seen hopefully on the new system we're going to be able to get more information, but on one of the other platforms we just had, what is it called? And it's not a super chat. A gift given to us. So thank you. We appreciate that. Unfortunately, I can't pull it up on the screen because it's not one of the 4 that give us control over the platform.
Okay. So the two flashlights that were seen on a security camera in the Sebastian Rogers case were, at least from what we know, law enforcement claimed to the parents, to Seth and apparently Chris, and Katie, that video, and we actually have the full video now. If you haven't seen it, it's on the internet, and I can post it in the community tab, or I can put it on our Twitter, or both, or you know what, I'll just post it to Discord, Twitter, and the community tab. But
yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah, because it's out there now, the full thing. And those little 2 lights are so tiny. It's literally only this little spot. And I don't know why Nick Barris and, News Channel 5 put it out like that was the whole video, was those 2 little lights. But that's actually a very small part of a full picture. And they're not, at least what police told Katie and Seth when they met with them, they said they don't believe those are flashlights. They think it was a trash truck or something going by at that time.
Okay.
And that it has no relevance in the case. Essentially, that video holds no information, is what they told them. So that's as much as I know. They didn't say it wouldn't hold relevance later on. They just said, as of right now, from what they know, it's meaningless.
Okay.
But that's all.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that is super interesting.
Yeah, please.
This case is insane, man. It is so insane.
And I don't want anyone to lose. Like, I feel like this could be a situation, since this sighting in North Carolina was deemed to not be Sebastian Rogers. That was giving everyone so much hope. It reignited a lot of hope. I don't want it not being him to make hope die.
Okay.
Like, Sebastian not being shared, him not being talked about, people letting their hope die, is when his case dies. That's when it goes completely cold.
I agree.
We have to be
100%.
on law enforcement. We have to keep his name out there. We have to keep sharing. We have to keep paying attention.
That's why we've been
and
talking about it.
Looking for kids that look like him. And as soon as you see a kid that looks like him, like in that situation, whoever took that picture in North Carolina, they should not have shared that on social media, for one. They should not have. They should have called 911 immediately and then called TBI.
Yeah.
They should have got cops there right away.
Yeah.
And took a picture, just not shared it on social media.
Yeah.
It would have been way easier, I think. They didn't call them until later on. That's been one of the major issues in this case, is that the people who claim to have seen someone who looks like Sebastian are not reporting it until way later.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to know what the goal was behind that. I'm telling you, I've wondered from the beginning if there was some intent to get FBI involved. I'm telling you.
Dude,
I think there's a very good possibility that there was intent to get the FBI involved.
I really wish the FBI would get involved, because honestly, and I'm not trying to put down law enforcement, but I just, with the kind of missing kids case that have come out of TBI, I'm not like that confident in them. And I'm sad to say that. And I don't want to put them down. And
Agreed.
I hope they prove me wrong. But I'm not like that confident in Sumner County or TBI. So I really hope the FBI is more involved. The FBI does know what is happening in the case, and the Secret Service. They have both knocked on doors around the neighborhood and collected information, but they're not lead on the case. What would actually make a difference is the FBI being lead on the case.
Yeah.
But they probably won't do it.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. TBI is Tennessee Bureau of Investigations.
All right. So what else we got? Anything?
Not on Sebastian Rogers, unfortunately. But keep sharing him. Make sure you share his face with anyone you know. You guys can download posters from the TBI website and I believe the Amber Alert website. If you have time to just like print some off and spread them around wherever you live, that's a wonderful idea. Because one thing with the whole North Carolina sighting, while Seth Rogers was out there, he said he was passing out flyers as he was going and nobody knew Sebastian. Like he didn't run across a single person who knew in his drive to and back. Like, just because we all know about this doesn't mean anyone else around the United States does. Like, you know, not everyone's into true crime. Not everyone is, you know, paying attention to these things. So putting posters up in like colleges, you know, gas stations, truck stops, anywhere and everywhere, no matter where, anywhere in the world, because let's face it, word could be anywhere at this point.
Yeah.
It could help. It could be what breaks the case.
It could be, for sure. Absolutely. It's definitely interesting.
So I guess we'll move on to Mica Miller. Was there anything else? Am I forgetting anything?
No. I think we are good.
Okay. Good. So the Mica Miller case has been going crazy online. She was found passed away from what seemed to be a self-unaliving on April 27th of this year. Her husband, who is a pastor, revealed that she had ended her life to his congregation while making jokes. And
what?
Yeah, he made jokes, and then he said his wife passed away, and then he said, well, first he said, you know, I want you guys to keep attending church and supporting me, but I want you to like hear what I have to say, essentially, and I'm paraphrasing. And then, you know, after I tell you, get up and walk out, basically, and say nothing, is basically what he was telling them to do. And then he tells them this, and the things he said about her, like, you know, putting out her mental health, and there's just so many have been kind of rough. Like, it
sounds like it.
It's been really rough. Okay. And look, while I have no idea if he was involved in her murder, or, I mean, you know, whatever it is. Okay. the police are saying she unalived herself, and they seem to have an overwhelming amount of evidence that she did truly do this to herself. But there's still a lot of theories out there. People thinking that he had this set up and somehow forced her hand. Because let's be honest,
the behavior's weird.
It's a lot worse than weird.
Is there a way for, listen, so let me just give this, do you remember the case that we covered of the guy that that was taking advantage of people that were depressed online and sending them what they needed to end their lives by manipulating them? Could this be a situation where she was having some kind of issues and he could have taken advantage of this situation and assisted in, you know what I mean? Assisted in.
Well, I don't know, because the police have come out with a statement in the past 24 hours saying that they have footage of her buying the gun that same day.
Oh yeah, that listen, what we were just talking about right there would be the person ending their own life.
Yeah, but he didn't like send her a gun or anything.
No? Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. Could he have forced her hand somewhat? Maybe. I don't know.
I don't think he would ever be convicted of that. I just want to be clear. But if you watch his behavior and his behavior is strange, somebody that just lost their partner in life, then I think it's pretty common that we're going to ask these other questions. The who, what, where, and why is this going on? You know?
Okay. Yeah. So, Mica's death, or it came, I think it's Mica, actually. Mica's death came 48 hours after she had her husband served divorce papers. Only 48 hours. Isn't that interesting? That was one of the major red flags everyone was talking about. Well, she just served him divorce papers. Like, she was finally getting away from this abusive man, and we can go more into some of the allegations of abuse.
Let's get into where he was.
Well, they claim now in this update, they claim in this update now his alibi is solid and he was not in town. That's what they're claiming.
Okay. We're going to listen to this phone call, and I got to tell you guys, it is, oh my gosh, it's tough.
It is rough.
Because you can hear what's going on in the background.
Right. So she served him with these divorce papers, and 48 hours later, you know, she's.
Hey, we have a Q&A open. I see somebody asking where they can get a message to us. We have a Q&A open on here. We're also on every major social media platform. We also read every single comment under every single video. So you can type it in there. It doesn't necessarily mean we're always going to get it. Sometimes the chat's moving too fast for us to see it, but that's a guaranteed way to get it to us, just so you know.
So 48 hours later, she's at Lumbee River State Park in North Carolina, on the phone with 911, asking them if they can track her phone, because she's about to end herself and she wants her family to know where to find her body. And then she hangs up and pulls the trigger and is gone.
Dude, no way. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Because when I listen to that, I can hear the rope.
Okay, well, let's listen. No, it's not a rope. It's a gun.
I thought that it's a rope and a gun.
I thought it was just a gun.
No, hanging and gun.
Both?
I thought. I listen, I'm just learning this. We're going through this together, my thought rioters. But I thought,
I don't know where you heard that. She died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Okay.
I never heard anything about a rope.
Where'd you put it?
Where did I put it?
Yeah, you sent that video to me.
Yeah, it's a screen recording video that I just sent to you, but I can find it real quick.
That's okay.
Just type in Mica Miller 911 call. It's out there. It's rough though, you guys. Trigger warning for this entire case, because this entire case involves you know, DV, domestic violence, talk about self-harm, and it's really heavy. It's a really heavy case.
All right. So trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning.
County 911, what's the address of your emergency?
Hi, are you able to trace the location of my phone?
Yeah, the Lumber River State Park. And
Yeah, that's where I am.
tell me what's happened.
I'm about to kill myself, and I just want my family to know where to find me.
Robeson County 911, what's the address of your emergency?
Hi, are you able to trace the location of my phone?
That's not
Yeah,
long enough.
the Lumber River State Park. And
Yeah, that's where I am.
tell me what's happened.
I'm about to kill myself, and I just want my family to know where to find me.
That's not the full thing.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to hear all the background noise with that one.
Okay.
Go. Wasn't it at the top? Oh.
No, there's none. They're all 5 minutes or more.
What?
The call was not 5 minutes. It was like, what, 1:30? Yeah, that was a phone call. That was a 911 call. Really sad. Really sad.
Let me see if it's on here real quick.
It's okay. We can just continue. I don't want to sit here in silence while we're trying to find it. We should have brought it. It's all good. I think everyone gets the point.
Yeah. And we can always share it. I know that, is that it right there? No, I don't know. I don't know. It's not loading right. So, but that you got the gist of it. That's really all that's said that's of relevance in the call. Before that, she just asked if they could track her phone. The lady was trying to figure out if they could track her phone, and it's a lot of silence. And then it's that. You hear that. And very shortly after that, you hear Mica hang up the call. And I could tell the dispatcher was like, well, after she said that, she's like, well, you know, like, hold on, just listen to what I'm going to say. You know what I mean? And Mica hangs up on her. So yeah, I don't know. I think that the 911 caller was trying to just delay, and I don't know. I don't know what was going on there.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we try to do in a horrible situation is to point blame. There's no blame here. With this call, there is no blame. The 911 dispatcher didn't do anything wrong.
Did I say that or even imply that?
No, but you're acting like, well, I don't know what the 911 dispatcher was trying to do. I mean, I feel like the 911 dispatcher did a good job. They were trying to figure out, like, whoa, what is going on here? And the call was so short. There wasn't even a split second to make a decision and say, you know, hang on, let's do this. Or actually, I don't see your phone. Like, this call was quick. Very quick.
I mean, it's not as, I don't know that you actually heard the entire thing, but
the whole minute and a half phone call.
What I sent you wasn't a minute and a half.
Okay.
It was like 40 something seconds, but it was longer than that.
So, Mikey, shout out. I'm in a bad mood and will argue with anyone, or I'm going to lurk. We appreciate you as always. We love that you're here. Let's just keep it on topic, please, because that is one of the things that we're trying to do, and unfortunately have to hold all people accountable to the same rules, my friend. But I hope that watching us will make you feel better and let us do the arguing for you.
I know Grizzly played it on her channel earlier today, and it was definitely longer than that. the context around it, there's not that much more. And I do think the 911 caller was trying to locate her quickly and was also kind of taken back because I don't think this is very usual. You know, I'm gonna kill myself and I'm just trying to figure out if you can locate my phone so my family can find me. Like, that's unusual, I would say.
Yep, it is unusual. It's uncommon.
It's kind of shocking how calm she is in it too. And I'm assuming that's acceptance. Like, this is it. You know what I mean?
Could be. I've been in situations like that, and not like this. I shouldn't have said that. I've been in situations where there's a possibility that somebody could be leaving that situation not alive, right? And I shouldn't have made that mistake. And there is a time where you come to a realization and you're void of feeling.
Okay.
Yeah, I shouldn't have shared that because I'm not willing to go into those details. So let's just change the topic. But I'll change it to, I don't think that it's that uncommon that people in situations like these reach a point where, you know, you're not going to see the emotion you would expect to see out of them, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I get what you're saying. But the community was very skeptical after she was found, you know, dead, and her family held a rally outside of the Solid Rock Church where her husband was a pastor, and her husband is John Paul Miller, who is 44 years old. Mica Miller was 30 at the time, and apparently, from what I've heard, he groomed her since she was 14.
Okay. Whoa. What's the evidence? We can't say that.
That's
not okay to say.
I don't have all of the evidence for anything. There are tons of there's tons of rumors, there's tons of speculation. There's her family has come out and talked about a lot of things. There's been a lot of women who have been coming out and claiming they groomed them since they were 14 and of similar ages. You know,
yeah,
ex-wives talking about abuse and things like that.
The last thing ever I'm going to do is reduce somebody's trauma if there are women out there that have trauma from this man and he's done something awful, okay? But one of the things that we have to hold ourselves true to here at Thought Riot Podcast is we are not going to add to the subjective nature and gossip undertones of any case that is out there unless there's evidence. Will we talk about all those things? Absolutely. But like, if we're going to talk about him being a groomer, I would really hope to see some kind of objective evidence, because anyone can say anyone's a groomer, right?
Sure.
What makes a groomer is somebody doing a certain set of things to groom a person into who they want and or be or whatever, right? Well, do we see any of those things, and is there evidence of these things?
Yeah, so she had some friends that came out and did interviews claiming this, that, you know, she was in a youth group apparently when she was young, and he was the pastor, and they're claiming that she was groomed.
What's the age difference?
She was 30, like, and he's 44. Like, when she passed away, she was 30, he's 44.
Okay. Okay.
So when she was 14, how old would he have been?
I don't know.
So that's about
what, he would have been
15, 16 years ago.
Yeah, he would have been 28. 14 years different. So she's 14, he's 28.
Yeah, so that's not good.
Okay. Yeah, it's not good. I hear you. But the difference is did he do, and listen, you guys, if anyone has the right to talk about something that has to do with underage, I was a victim of that. Okay. So don't take my questioning as not putting importance into this topic. I am the first one to jump out there and say, like, all kids need to be protected of this. Okay. However, in order to protect kids of this, we have to be able to use evidence to hold these people accountable. So is that weird looking at the situation from the fact that she's 14 and he's 28? Absolutely. It is super strange and never should be okay in any way, shape, or form. But did anything happen when she was under 18? Did the relationship start right when she turned 18? Because those are red flags that is objective evidence, right? Did he start dating her literally right when she turned 18? Red flag. Were they hanging out, just the two of them, when she was under 18? Red flag. Was there some kind of special teaching relationship with her and him in that church group? Another red flag. I have been at multiple churches, okay, and normally you're expected to stick with genders of genders, okay? So you have a youth pastor that's a female that works directly with the females for growth and things of that nature. You have men that work with the boys for things of that nature, okay? So is there something different here? Could that be used as objective evidence? Because I just am not okay with coming out and saying, you know, this person is a groomer without having that evidence.
Yeah, but I think that you're coming in on this really late and you haven't seen everything that's been out there. So I don't think you have a fair knowledge base in the case yet, because a lot of people have been following this like from the very beginning and watching all the coverage, see all of these things that have just been happening, you know, and all this information that's been coming out from family, friends, people close to Mica, people close to him, you know, and
yeah,
it's really alarming.
Yeah,
like there's rumors he slashed her tires and did all of these stalking things.
And that's what I'm looking for, is evidence like that. Because again, we can't pretend that if she ended her life, all the people that were close to her are hurting. And if he was doing abusive stuff like that, could they be leaning into the subjective evidence and make it bigger than it actually is? It sounds like this guy was awful, okay? I'm not sticking up for the man here. I'm sticking up for the fact that we need to hold ourselves to an acceptable standard of objective evidence when we go throwing accusations. That's all. The accusation isn't what's important. The person isn't what's important. It's the evidence. I see where you're coming from.
She said before she passed away that if anything had happened to her, it would be him.
And there's evidence of that?
Well,
And there's evidence of that?
I think it's just word of mouth from a family member.
Okay.
But you guys, there's also a clip out there of that Grizzly actually posted too, and it's on her shorts, where Mica is in I think it's Kenya in Africa, and she's telling a story and it's being translated, and she's saying, you know, that she put a gun to her head and was going to kill herself, and that she pulled the trigger and the gun didn't fire, and she said that was God. So like, if that story is true, then this isn't her first time attempting this. She was in a lot of pain, obviously, for a lot of her life. Her husband, or, you know, about to be, you know, ex-husband, when he announced her death, he said, you all know she wasn't well mentally and that she needed her medicine and it was hard to get to her. And then literally ushered all of his churchgoers out the door. It's really weird. But you know, there's also interviews where he is saying, let me try to find it really quick, but there's an interview on some Christian type news site or something where he talks about her having schizophrenia and all kinds of stuff, but there's also allegations that he has schizophrenia. So I don't know,
dude. Again,
it's all very convoluted.
You can't claim someone has schizophrenia without evidence of schizophrenia. That's simple too. You know what I mean? And that's Let's take it off this topic.
Oh,
here.
Bipolar. You're right. It was bipolar. I'm sorry.
It's still the same. It's still the same. Bipolar is not a cool term like ADHD that's being thrown around. Bipolar stops people from living normal lives. They are unable to hold jobs. Like, it is very serious mental health issue. Okay, so let's take the focus off this so I can try and get my example out there. Sebastian Rogers. Okay. Sebastian Rogers has been full of hearsay, has been full of, yeah, of course there's evidence. That evidence is this person said it. Oh, but they're saying this person said it. Oh, but this person said it. And then all of a sudden, a week, a month, 2 months later, law enforcement comes out and we find out none of it's true. That's all I'm trying to understand here is like, okay, all those people's opinions, subjective comments are all important. Stripping them away is not saying they're not important, but there is a very, very, very big difference between subjective evidence and objective evidence. We got to be able to separate the two when we're looking into an investigation to understand the bones of that investigation. That those subjective statements are then there to understand, pad, and fill that story out once we get to that point.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. So let me read the actual statement he made in church, and you tell me the impression it gives you. It was a viral video online. It was being posted all over the place, but it's since been removed from the church's YouTube channel, of course, because it got a lot of attention. So he's announcing to his congregation.
Subjective is fact-based. It's a personal perception of a fact-based situation.
So this was just hours after she was found. And this is what his statement was. After the announcement, I'm going to ask that you leave the church quietly and don't talk about the announcement here in the building, please, if you can. My request to you is that you continue to come to church and serve for the next little bit because I'm taking a bit of a break and I don't want to have to worry about the church. My break may be a few days or a few weeks. I don't know, he said. I got a call late last night. My wife has passed away. Yeah, it was self-induced and it was up in North Carolina. He noted that there would be a funeral at the church at 3 p.m. on May 5th. And another thing to add is that her family had a completely separate funeral and had nothing to do with his funeral.
Okay.
Like there's that much of a divide.
Okay.
I'm just kind of going on adrenaline right now. So y'all pray for my kids and everybody. Y'all knew she wasn't well mentally and she needed medicine that was hard to get her. And so I'm sure there'll be more details to come. So just keep our family in your prayers. So some of her family, like her sister, Sierra, rejected the idea that she, unalived herself and said that she was abused. And she came out saying she wanted to set the record straight and say, don't listen to all these false stories being spread about her, because she was basically in fear of her husband.
Okay.
So here's a comment that she made on social media. Mica was a God-fearing, joyful, loving woman who did not deserve the abuse she endured. If you hear anything about this from anyone other than her family, please question it. Reach out to her siblings or parents. Keep our family in your prayers. And if you have any information that needs to be shared, please contact one of us. Please respect us in this time and honor her memory with joy that she is no longer suffering. # justice for Mica. So her family is really who ignited this rage from the public, this questioning, these red flags, like what is happening here? You know, because there's all these allegations coming out that he groomed her since 14. He was stalking her. He was slashing her tires. And there's an email that has surfaced that even though it's not like outright, like aggressively abusive, it's like, you know, I'll try to pull it up. It's really passive aggressive and cruel, I would say. It's passive aggressive and cruel once you know the context behind it. So I think that could possibly add to it, but
Okay, I'm listening to you.
Yeah. So she actually first filed for divorce in October of 2023. She didn't say why in the papers. The case was dismissed in February, but a few days later, Pastor Miller filed for separate support and maintenance, seeking financial support. Mica Miller would file for similar support in April. A hearing was scheduled for June 5th. So they were going through this drawn out divorce process that was just awful. He also has admitted in an interview with the Christian Post that his relationship with Mica began with him cheating on his wife at the time. So one thing I haven't
Whoa.
told you
Okay,
is
now
that
that's objective evidence.
is that his wife at the time, he had 5 children with her and then
Okay.
began cheating on that woman who had 5 kids with him with Mica.
Okay, so this is evidence that I am looking for here. Okay.
Yeah. He said they were both were previously married and cheated on their spouses, and many people left his church, forcing them to completely
Because
start.
that's not opinion. Like that can be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had to both completely start over. He said he and Mica got married in 2017.
How old was she?
So if she's 30 in 2024, how old would she have been in 2017?
So if she's 30 in 2024, so that means she was born in 96. So 2017 is what? 17 plus 4 is what? 31?
What?
I'm sorry, 21. 21.
She would have been 21 at the time?
I think. I don't know. I don't have paper in front of me, but I
So,
think I'm right.
I mean, just
I don't know.
I don't know why you did all that math. So
Because you asked me
7
to.
minus 7 years from 30.
Okay.
Right?
I don't know.
2017 was 7 years ago, right? It's 2024.
Yeah.
So 30
Yep.
minus 7,
Yep.
she'd be like 23.
Yep. Oh, our chat's giving it to us. Yeah. Okay. 23. My bad, you guys. So yes, I was incorrect.
You just did a lot of mental math, like a lot.
That's how I figure it out, because years are hard. So
Years
sometimes
are
you gotta
hard.
sometimes you gotta round to an average to then figure out, where it was. Now it's taken into consideration. We don't need to go into all that. But anyway, yep.
Okay.
So I was wrong.
Okay.
It's 23. Which again, you guys, that makes me less. That's less red flag for grooming. I just got to be honest here.
Okay, so
But not abuse.
well, I mean, I don't even know all the details around those grooming allegations. So I don't want to just like push them off because I don't know all of those details. But apparently what he told the Christian Post was that she had some surgery done and then was diagnosed with bipolar 2. What is bipolar 2?
Yeah.
Schizophrenic and dependent personality disorder.
Okay.
That since 2017, they have been trying to manage her health with mental health with lithium and significant support.
Whoa, dude.
He said that as long as she took her medication, she was fine, but their relationship was a roller coaster. Especially and the medication, like she would go off of it.
Insane stuff. I've watched people's whole self change from lithium.
Isn't it kind of weird? They got married in 2017, and then right after that, she's diagnosed with all of these mental disorders.
Yep, I do think that's very good objective evidence to support a possibility of abuse. Absolutely.
Yeah. I would
Absolutely.
agree.
Because also, so how old was she again? 23?
Yeah.
So the normally a woman's mental health, like there are some delayed mental health issues that come out later in life, but normally it is a singular massive event when that schizophrenia turns on. And schizophrenia is not like some days you're okay, some days you're not. It is very apparent. It is unlivable. You cannot be schizophrenic, schizoaffective, any of those different disorders, and live a functioning life.
Look, you guys, I had a friend in high school that when they turned, I believe it was 22, they had this mental break and were diagnosed.
22,
I
really?
think so.
It's usually later in life.
Well, they might have been a little
Late
bit.
20s.
It had to have been. They could have been a little bit older than that, but probably not much.
Okay.
They were diagnosed with schizophrenia, and it was bad. It was really bad. And
The people I know too.
They
same
went
way.
all these years, but sadly they succumbed to it. They just died. They just passed away.
That's awful.
Within the past month. So it's a rough illness.
Yeah.
It really is. Especially if you can't get it managed by medication.
Yeah.
If you can get it managed by medication, then I've seen it be okay. Like, some people have livable lives. It's amazing what medication can do. But so she would go on and off her medicine, apparently, because she would complain about it making her gain weight and start slurring and things like that. So earlier this year, the wife of a well-meaning pastor friend who had no understanding of mental illness offered to pray and believe that Mica Miller's mental illness would go away. That incident stuck with Mica, and she started to believe that she no longer needed the medication, is what he claimed. He claimed he took care of her through every time she went to the mental institution. I took care of her every time she stopped taking her lithium. I would never expose this stuff of her if I didn't have to now. But every time she tried to kill herself, I would be there. I would literally sometimes pick her up physically, put her in the truck, and take her to the hospital, he said with a slight crack in his voice.
Jeez, man.
Nobody believed me when I told them that she was having a psychotic break. She would never left. She would have never done what she did.
Nobody believes me?
They wouldn't believe me. I have 48 text messages that I sent out saying she needs her lithium. Somebody help me, please. And no one believed me. Everybody thought I was a demon for trying to take her to probate court and get her put in a hospital. I told her family. So he was trying to take, like,
her rights away.
Her rights away.
Yep.
I told her family, I have text messages over and over. I told her family she needs her medicine. They told me I'm crazy. She doesn't need any medicines. I texted her. I text messaged her, but they sent her saying it makes you fat or it makes you slur, or you shouldn't take your meds, or you just need something holistic. You don't need what the doctors say. So her family was basically telling her, you don't need this medicine. And he was saying, you do. It was this fight between her family being like, she doesn't need that medication, and him being like, yes, she does. She's insane, basically.
Yeah, well, why not let her choose? Figure it out. Like, that's a personal accountability thing. Whereas what I mean is, if you're have that severe of a mental health issue, it's not a question of whether you need it or not. There's not a maybe. It's not like, you're depressed some days, so you could be schizophrenic, you could be bipolar. It is, I'm pretty sure when they're trying to diagnose you with schizophrenia or bipolar, there is a certain repetition that comes to it. Now, again, I'm not 100% on that, you guys. I just know from my own experiences having people around me, but I'm curious to know why he felt like he could say for certainty.
Okay, but hear me out.
Okay.
Why he claimed that she needed this medication, but it was too hard to get for her.
Too hard to get.
How is lithium hard to get? If she is schizophrenic, a doctor is going to prescribe her medication, and it will not be hard to get.
No, it won't be.
Absolutely not. If she doesn't have a job, if she doesn't have money to pay for it, Medicaid will pay for that.
Yeah.
100%.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Yep. That's considered a
if you are
like
diagnosed
a order or health issue, and they absolutely
If
will
you are
cover that.
diagnosed with schizophrenia, they will cover that medication.
Yeah.
It's not hard to get. Now, if you want to talk about insulin, that's a totally different thing.
Oh yeah. Well, insulin's different.
It's a problem, you know?
Insulin is a problem.
It's ridiculous, actually. But when it comes to these kinds of drugs, they're not hard to get. Unless there's something new going on, like a shortage. I don't know. I don't know if there's something specific in their area, something with, I just don't know. But I've never heard of lithium.
I wonder if he was gaslighting her for real.
Into thinking she was insane.
Yeah.
And trying to take her rights and trying to make her take this medication. Because what the impression I'm getting is that he's like trying to get her to take this medicine, and that's why it's hard to get. Like the whole Mommy Dearest, Gypsy Rose and Dee Dee Blanchard case. Which Gypsy Rose, like there's a picture of her online the other day after getting her nose job and getting all done up. She looks super good. She had a little glow up. But
interesting.
It is interesting. But in that situation, like if he's trying to pull a Dee Dee and go to hospitals and try to convince them that his wife needs this medication, and doctors are like, she's not exhibiting the signs of schizophrenia, then yeah, it could be hard to get her that medication. You know?
I agree. And that's what I'm wondering. That it's really strange why he felt like she needed it. You know?
Right. Munchausen by proxy.
I don't really understand. I'm not sure.
Munchausen by proxy is some scary stuff, man. He said, nobody believed me. Nobody understood mental illness. Nobody, what? She was diagnosed by the doctors for the past 7 years as bipolar 2, schizophrenic, and dependent personality disorder. And I was with her every time she thought she was seeing aliens. I was with her every time she thought artificial intelligence was after her. I was with her through everything. In the last psychotic episode she had, she didn't know who I was. She thought that I was the enemy somehow. Nobody believed me. Everybody thought she was just normal being herself, and nobody understood.
What?
With her mental illness, people understand that she can say a sentence that's normal. In the very next sentence, she'd say with the same cadence, the same tone, and it will be completely abnormal, which is why people didn't understand. She'd say, I want to go make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and after that, I'm going to learn how to fly. The Reverend Charles Randall, Pastor Miller's spiritual advisor and mentor, told the Christian Post that basically social media is very wicked in saying things and lying about the situation, things that they're not aware of. And apparently this guy has known him since high school, was one of his teachers in high school, and said he had been counseling Mica and Pastor Miller since September of 2023 and was not aware of any abuse. He said there was a little bump in the road in his efforts to restore their marriage, but did not disclose what the bump was.
Yeah, I'm curious what that bump is. I don't know.
Yeah, he said there's no abuse, though, that they were in the process of
Someone was saying it gets even worse, too. Yeah,
they were
so it sounds like I just don't have a good understanding, but that is wild.
So supposedly this pastor was in the process of trying to restore their marriage.
Okay.
While she's desperately trying to get away. Which is what everyone, like, I heard Grizzly talking about this, and she was like, you know, did she just lose all hope? Like, I'm never going to get away from this man. He's stalking me. He's slashing my tires. You know, he's trying to force me to reconcile with him. You know, what's really sad is she made DV videos and posted them online and talked about her experience somewhat with domestic violence. And at one point said, God hates divorce, but God also hates abuse.
Yeah.
And you're Christ's bride first. Which, look, I don't think like that. That's not how I think. And I feel like the whole God hates divorce thing it's a touchy subject, okay, for some religious people out there. But there is at no point that it is worth it to stay if you are being abused in the way it appears she was being abused. Like, that's life or death. Like, this man is probably going to take your life eventually. You know what I mean? Making you take medications that you don't need, doing things like slashing your tires.
Yeah, I have no problem at all, and I don't listen. This is one area I understand it could be touchy, and I understand there could be people that would even be mad about this, depending on what their, religious affiliations are. But that is 100% true. Anybody that thinks that when there's abuse going on in a marriage, that marriage needs to continue for it to follow God's rules, you're wrong. You're just wrong. That is not what the Bible says. The Bible does not have anything to do with you as a wife submitting to every physical and or verbal and or mental abuse, because marriage trumps all of that. You're asking somebody to essentially end their life. So yeah, I just don't agree. I don't agree. I'll argue that any day. I actually know the Bible pretty well.
I agree with you. I don't think, and look, there's just no way, if there's like an all-knowing God, they would think it's okay to just stay and be abused.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah, it just comes down to what the word shows. That's where a lot of people argue about, right? Because they have this idea of who God is. And let's be real here. If you are the denomination that you believe wholeheartedly in the word, okay, and the word is the Bible, then it doesn't matter what you think God is. And I don't want to go down this. I don't want to get on religion anymore. I want to get on politics. But it's what does the Bible say? You know what I mean? And in this situation is a situation where it matters talking about this. So yeah, I agree. I don't think that there's any situation that somebody should stay in an abusive situation because one of the people in that abusive relationship is leaning on the word of God to try and justify their abuse and continue the marriage. That no way. That's not how it works. I agree. Somebody in here saying they feel like the guy wanted to be God. I 100% agree. I feel like he has a complex, a God complex. I agree with you. The more I'm hearing here, the more I feel like there is a God complex going on where he's one of those people where his way is the right way and nobody else's way is. And if you think something different, then you need to be put on meds because I am God's chosen one. Like, that's the vibes I'm getting here as you're reading through this.
Yeah. And here I have an article, and this is about the tire slash. So this is an article from the US Sun, and it was posted May 6th. And it says, new clues. A pastor's wife, Mica Miller, found a tracking device on her car and had her tires slashed twice in a week before her death. Pretty awful. So she believes she was being followed after her tires were reportedly slashed multiple times in March. Her death was announced April 28th. We already know that, by her husband. And we know that their social media and website has gone dark. And they've deleted that viral video. So police records have uncovered which show Miller believes someone was watching or following her in the weeks leading up to her death. And this is police reports. In the early hours of March 11th, Miller told police her tires had been slashed near Spring-Made Pier in Myrtle Beach. A report seen by NBC affiliate WFLA reveals. Later that day, she went to repair the tires. She called police again after a tracking device was found on her car. Officials said a male suspect was involved in both cases but did not release his identity.
Okay.
Miller told police at the time it was the second time a razor has deflated her tire in the last week. Police confirmed there was a metal object protruding from her tire and found it was a tire deflation device that can be purchased online. Miller had... What? Why wouldn't you just grab a knife?
Wait, what? So so like a remote deflating device?
They
Is
said
that what we're saying?
They said
here?
it's a metal object that was protruding from her tire, and it's a tire deflation device that can be purchased online.
Oh, okay. So okay. I don't know what that means, but okay. The only thing I can assume is if it's a device that's used for breaking the seal on the tire, so you're flattening the tire without damaging it. That's the only thing. You know how there's a bead? Well, maybe not. For anybody that's watching that's like real familiar with tires, right? Because I used to dirt bike, that bead on the tire is really important on the rim. And maybe it's one of those that you slide that little flat thing down in there so it breaks the seal and you don't have to pay for new tires, which makes me feel like it's even more him, right? Because if you're married to her, wouldn't you financially have to support new tires on the car? So if you want to cause problems but not come out of pocket, then you just break the seal on the tire, so you got to go fill it up and it's an inconvenience. You know what I mean?
Does anyone know what the heck this could be? Is it that what he's saying, or is it something else? Like, that's so weird.
It's very weird. I have no idea.
Okay, so
I'm trying to understand because like this kind of objective evidence could make someone feel like they're being stalked, which is the opposite of feeling like you're being stalked by way of schizophrenia.
Right. This is objective evidence. There's a tracking device found on her car at a repair shop. Her tires are being let out. She's calling police because of it.
Somebody's targeting her. This is not schizophrenia.
No.
So who's doing this? Because whoever's doing this, I think, yeah, now this is the objective evidence that I was asking for earlier. Okay. Now, this makes me feel like whoever could be found to be at fault here, there needs to be a good, thorough investigation into this.
Agreed. Well, I mean, that's what they're saying they did. And
because who knows what we don't know?
Yeah, but they're saying they did, and they're saying that he is cleared, essentially. His alibi's solid, or at least it got a boost that he wasn't there. But look, if he hired somebody to follow her around, we don't know that that same person he hired, he didn't give him the green light to do something to her or threaten her in some way, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so Miller had an idea of who was following or watching her,
Fear
and
of the outside world. Yeah.
said he had a history of similar actions against her. So she's saying, I know who's following me, or at least I think I do, and he has done this before.
And does she give a name? Is it him?
The police records are redacted. They don't tell us who it is. So, you know, she goes to the Honda dealership to repair her tires, where the tracking device was found by one of the mechanics, and she calls the cops a second time to report the harassment, and said the suspect had bothered her at a gas station earlier that day. Miller told police the suspect kept trying to speak with her despite her asking him to go away. Once she brought out a phone to try and record him, he got in his car and sped away. Speaking to an officer at the dealership, Miller said the suspect had used a no callback number to try and get in touch with her. According to the report, the police said that Mica Miller was afraid for her life. She was also advised she blocks his numbers and still gets calls and texts from him on other numbers. So he was avoiding her blocking him. And in that Christian Post article that we were just talking about, it says that pastor who was doing like the counseling for them said that they were trying to reconcile. He had no idea Mica was even about to file for divorce. And then 48 hours.
They were trying to reconcile, or he was.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Well, he said that she didn't tell him why. She didn't tell him she was going to, and she just did it. And then 48 hours later, she's dead. In this really strange way.
Yeah, I hear you. I think that that's a very big coincidence. I mean, it's not a really strange way, to be honest. What?
You don't think it's strange that she called in like that? What if somebody was there with her and telling her to say that? No?
I have such a hard time with that because listen, and look, maybe not everyone is comfortable in stressful situations like that, but I'm telling you, I promise you, if somebody's making me do that, then I already think that there's a good possibility my life can end. So I am going to tear your life up and not help you get what you want. You know what I mean? So like, what are your odds? Your odds are what? If you call in and you do that, then it's a guaranteed your life's gonna end. If you call in and say, someone's here making me say it, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It takes a half of a second. Someone's here making me say it.
Right. I guess.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's hard. It's hard. You
Yeah.
have a lot of options. One, no calling in at all. Two, quickly, that took literally less than a second to say that would have alerted them,
True.
Or what is it? Frozen in fear and terror, and someone could have been there and she didn't know anything other than to do what she said. I don't know. It's hard. But in crappy situations like this, it doesn't always make sense. And that's one of the downsides to true crime is there's always going to be cases out there that just don't make sense. And this one sounds like there's a lot of really good evidence for what was being caused leading up to this,
but don't you also think it's really odd that 2 days after she served her husband with divorce papers, it says that she warned her family members, okay? If I end up with a bullet in my head, it was not by me. It was JP, meaning her ex or soon to be ex-husband, current husband. She warned them that if something happens to me, it wasn't me, it was him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know how many times I've heard that and it really was him?
Yeah, we've already covered like 3 cases where
people predicted it.
Where
they
people
knew
said
it.
that and it ended up being them. I know. I'm right there with you. I just have such look, and maybe I say this all the time that sometimes I'm objective to a fault where like I lose the interpersonal connection of, relationships in certain ways of conversating, things like that, whatever. Maybe this is one of those situations where I'm just missing the mark here because objectively it makes more sense to just say it real quick. You know what I mean? That, someone's here with me saying it, whatever. They would have picked up on it. Those are recorded calls. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, right.
Was she being tricked in some way? Maybe did somebody trick her into saying that where she didn't actually think? Did she ever respond?
What do you mean?
To the 911 operator? Does the 911 operator, do they have conversation back and forth, volley it?
No, not really. She says that, can you trace my phone? And they're looking and trying to figure out if they can. And then they ask her something and she's like, well, I want to see if you can trace my phone because I'm about to kill myself and want my family to be able to find me. And then they're like, well, okay, hold on, listen to me or something like that. And then she hangs up the phone.
So she only says those 2 things?
Yep. She hardly says a word.
So no volleying?
She didn't say very much.
Okay.
That's why I wanted the full 911 call, but it's okay. But yeah, it's not much, you guys. Like, not much is said at all. Yeah, I don't know. It's really quite odd, honestly. I don't know what to think about it, but the county medical examiner said they believed that she had passed away from a self-inflicted gunshot wound based on the nature of the wound. It's consistent with it being self-inflicted. It wasn't on the back of the head, which was something people were speculating and people saying that. that it was in the back of the head, and it was not. So another important detail is that she served him with a no contact order along with the divorce papers. So, but again, there was
stalkers are dangerous. I think that's step one in any of this, right? Let's find out if this person is a stalker, because look, unfortunate. I probably shouldn't say this.
What?
Just how easy it is for someone to end another person's life without them being there.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like it is very easy. Anybody that has a will, there's a way out there, unfortunately. So could it be a situation like that? I think anything's possible. I really do. We're curious. We have a poll out there right now, you guys. We still have that Q&A up, which we'll switch to it here in just a little bit, get some questions answered. But we have a poll out saying that, do you think the husband had a superiority complex in this? And I think superiority complexes can be very dangerous depending on a few things. I got to use the restroom.
Okay. But yeah, definitely fill out that poll if you haven't yet. We're regularly putting them in the chat, figuring out what you guys are thinking about these cases as we dive into them. So another detail to add, and I'll have to update Brennan real quick when he gets back, but even though their divorce wasn't finalized and it was this long drawn out process, and we just heard, remember, they were trying to reconcile, and then she is like, bam, no contest order, bam, divorce papers, 48 hours, she's gone. Well, her husband was already having relations with another woman during his marriage with her. So remember, he was married with 5 kids. Then he married Mica when she was 23 in 2017. And then during this process that we're talking about right now that just, happened with her trying to divorce him and, ending her own life, he's already with another woman. Interesting, right? I'm not going to call out who the woman is. I don't know. I just don't feel right doing that. Look, if he has not, had a call to God, apparently not in the way that he, thinks he does, but like a real wake up moment, like I'm an abusive jerk and I need to change. This woman's going to be just as badly abused as all of his past wives. So, she doesn't win in any kind of way. I'm not going to look at her like, oh my gosh, she's such a terrible person. No, she's going to be a victim just like Mica Miller was. So that's how I see it. Like if he's an abuser, she's going to be a victim. But it is really interesting that he's already with another woman.
How long has this case been going on?
He's already with another woman, by the way.
Okay.
She was found April 27th, or was it 28th? Gosh, I already forgot that.
Yeah, listen, you guys,
I believe it was April 27th that happened, but
I stand by my original statements in the very beginning of this.
Yeah, April 27th.
Because I feel different about this case, but it doesn't change my original statements in the beginning of this, that anytime we throw accusations at someone, I really think that it's important to bring ourselves back to objectivity in it, right? And that was before Malia walked us through some of this objective evidence and findings that have been found here. But yeah, I think there needs to be an investigation opened in it. I think there's enough here that an investigation should be opened into this. I mean,
there already was.
I thought you said that it was like they ruled on her crime scene.
Yeah, but I also told you that his alibi,
him?
his alibi, according to them, checks out. But we'll get into that. So, hold on. Let me get. So, apparently, the pastor has a pretty strong alibi. According to police reports, John Paul was at an athletic event in Charleston on the day of Mica's death. Mica even called the cops and purchased a gun on the day of her death, and made that 911 call, as we heard, saying that she needed them to track her because she was about to kill herself. Despite these findings, people still find him guilty. Online, like a lot of people are speculating there's something here, like he may not have actually killed her with his own hands, but something he did cause to this.
Like I don't think saying something he did cause this is enough, but was there enough historical abuse in their relationship that they could at least bare minimum bring abuse charges to this guy so that he's not marrying another woman who's about to go through the same thing? You know what I mean? I don't think they're going to get him on her ending herself. I just don't see that happening. But can we protect another victim?
Wait, did Heather just said she was found in water? She was? Okay, well, I'll pull that up here in a second. That's really weird.
That is weird because water is notorious.
That's a red flag
for making it very hard to find any evidence. And that is trace DNA.
Or did she do that to try to not make a mess for everybody? Like, just thinking about it from that perspective.
I don't know, man.
But that could make it hard to recover your body, and she wanted them to know where she was. So yeah, that's kind of a red flag, no?
I think it's a red flag. I think it's a red flag for sure, because I think somebody that would be trained in doing something like that, okay, like somebody who could be hired, somebody that has done research into that, somebody that knows what they're looking for, would know that trace DNA is not something you can control, and you can't walk around with saran wrap all around your body, making sure trace DNA doesn't come off. There is still a chance, even if you're masked up, gloved up, and covered head to toe in long sleeves and pants, there is still a chance that you could get trace DNA on you, because every single part, like right here, the skin cells fall off right here. Skin cells fall off, eyebrow hairs fall off, all kinds of stuff falls off. And one way to increase the likelihood of no trace DNA being found is water.
Okay, so an individual contacted Robinson County 911 and said he located a body in the water. He had been fishing on his kayak when he found the body. I know he heard a gunshot too. I think I'm remembering, but I don't remember all the details just off the top of my head. Her keys and sunglasses were out of her purse.
Okay.
Interesting. Thanks for sharing, you guys. So here's another odd thing to add to it, and then I'll look at that. But the woman that he's with, I guess I'll just say her name. She's in pictures all over the internet. It is Susie Skinner. Well, she was married to a man named Chris Skinner, who died in a drowning accident and apparently was like a paraplegic.
Okay.
And people just thought that was odd. That she's like a widow and she's already with him, and then he gets widowed. It's subjective, but
I mean, okay, how many more bodies can we tie to this man?
I don't know.
And yeah, that I'm not saying that those bodies are tied to him, but one thing that you look for, right? And it's not 100% concrete, is, are there a lot of accidents? Okay. And the best example of what I'm talking about is the Daybell case. What's her name? Chad and Lori Daybell.
Right. Exactly. So here's another
People were dropping
strange
randomly
detail.
by accident all over the place.
Exactly.
And then, you know, 5 years later, oh,
Exactly.
that, and they're all to cause it. Those two caused all of it.
So here's another weird thing. So we have he applied, the pastor, okay, Mica Miller's husband, applied for a pardon because he was convicted of a Class C felony for apparently hitting a woman twice with his vehicle at a high rate of speed. And he pled guilty to this. And he got, you know, convicted, obviously, of a Class C felony, which meant he lost his right to vote. Well, he applied for a pardon because he wanted to be able to vote in 2021.
He hit her twice.
It was at a high rate of speed.
Like
it
in
was
conjunction,
assault.
like he hit her and then went down, turned around, and came back and hit her again.
All of the details. I just know that it was an assault and battery of a high and aggravated nature, and it's supposedly because he hit her twice at a high rate of speed, and that's in a local newspaper.
Whoa.
And that was in 1999 when that happened. The initial incident.
That is, whoa.
And like I said, there have been women who have been involved with this pastor who have been coming out all over the place talking about his abusive behavior, his grooming behavior, all kinds of stuff.
I gotta be honest that that him being a pastor is a red flag for me. Just
with
because
all of
the
this
superiority
too?
complex.
Yeah.
Not that there's something wrong with being a pastor. It's the superiority complex and the feeling that, you know, pastors, cult leaders, whatever, get from leading a group. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a lot of allegations, like even that he supposedly owned a doll for adult activities that look like a 4-year-old. There's allegations of that. So it's wild.
Is there evidence of that?
It's wild speculation online. I have no idea, you guys. It's so much stuff that it's like vetting all of this is just absolutely insane. So I'm trying to only go off official information, but that is cited in multiple articles that do have good sources. But that one seems like it could possibly be like speculative but there's a source listed. It's just not a police report or anything. So, here.
This is wild stuff. Really wild stuff.
I agree.
I think someone needs to do a deep dive into him. Really.
I mean, people have been deep diving into him.
I mean, law enforcement that have the authority to actually get into his background, to investigate, to pull him into an interview, to get a polygraph on him, to, you know, the standard investigating procedure.
Okay, so here's the story. All right, here we go. So a death investigation that has tugged on the hearts of people across the nation has been ruled a unaliving. Okay, the sheriff's office wrote the decision was based on surveillance footage, interviews, physical evidence, and the examination of the North Carolina Medical Examiner's Office. The evidence is quite clear and compelling, and we are saddened as anyone that this occurred. Mica was seen on doorbell camera leaving her home in Myrtle Beach around 11:38 a.m. Okay, she lives in Myrtle Beach, but she went all the way up to this like what was it, Lumber State Park? What was it again?
Is there any,
Lumber River State Park.
Is there any personal connection to that state park?
Which was weird.
Strange,
was weird.
Because normally there's some kind of personal connection.
Right.
Okay.
So 11:38 local time, before she disappeared at about 3 p.m. Is when she made the 911 call from the Lumber River State Park in North Carolina. And after arriving at the scene, investigators found her vehicle. Soon after, an individual approaches the cops and informs them that he found a bag, a purse, near the water's edge with an identification belonging to Mica Miller. And her body was eventually found in the water. And this is the guy that was fishing and kayaking, and, you know, there were things out of her purse.
Sure.
So they said this incident has garnered much attention from across the Carolinas and beyond. I want to assure everyone that a very methodical, wait, can you read that word? Methodical. Okay. I don't know why I couldn't pronounce it there for a minute. It was like messing up my brain. Okay. A methodical investigation was conducted by our criminal investigations team and crime scene investigative team. Unfortunately, rumors and conspiracy theories were spreading quickly and assumptions were being made. However, in the end, we must make decisions based on the facts and evidence that has been gathered. In their statement, they shared that they determined Mica's husband was at the athletic event in Charleston on the day of her death. Authorities stated that he nor a woman he is in a romantic relationship with, allegedly, were in North Carolina on the night before or the day of her death. He was given, the husband was given the opportunity to meet with the police on May 7th, but indicated through his attorney that he would not come to North Carolina to do so. But her family did. Her family met with them.
Okay.
Why would he not go?
I have no idea. Unless he's trying not to get arrested. I don't know.
That's kind of weird.
This case is weird. It is. This is very weird. It's a lot more weird than I originally thought it was going to be. Absolutely.
It is weird. And I don't know what to entirely think of it. If I'm being 100% honest, part of me, especially after seeing that video of her talking about her trying to take her life in the past, has made me think, well, and look, if she had been being groomed since she was 14, like the rumors are saying, which again, it's hard for me to just say it's a rumor because it's people who are so close to her. Like, I would like to think that some of her best friends growing up would not come out and lie like that.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So, you know, I'm inclined to believe them. I'm not inclined to say that they're lying. But I still have to say allegedly, okay?
Yeah.
Because there's no, like, 100% proof. He's not convicted of anything. He's not even charged with anything. But if she was being groomed since 14, there's no way she was very healthy. Like, even though she had just gotten married to him in 2017, and remember, that's when she's diagnosed with all of these conditions and she's being put on lithium, the abuse clearly started much before, like way before that. If she was being groomed since 14, it had been going on for nearly a decade at that point. Nearly a decade. And it just makes me, I mean, so that video that Grizzly posted, Grizzly True Crime, which shout out to her, she's covered this case a whole bunch and deep dived into it. And she's done a really good job. And, you know, I really like how empathetic she is. But that video, when I saw it, made me be like, so she's tried in the past. But after knowing everything now about what was going on and what is alleged to have gone on, there's no way she could have been very healthy. You know, like, she was a victim. She was actively being abused, and for a very long time, it seems. So her having tried in the past, it does make me think that she would try again in the future, though.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Like, if somebody has
there's evidence there for that,
but
that's why I said I don't think they're going to convict him of her ending her life. I think that if anything, they could save future victims by, you know, slapping him with some very serious charges of, you know, maybe stalking if they found evidence that he was the one that was behind flattening her tires, that they could charge him with abuse and make him a no-fly zone for women. Any woman that knows his past, you know, or brings up that conversation.
He was a pastor and he friggin' ran over a woman twice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But apparently that church let him go. You know, because all these protests were going on outside during the funeral and everything. The church let him go.
Good.
And yeah, that is good.
But I wouldn't associate myself with that either.
This is tragic. Like it does seem there's more evidence pointing towards that she did this to herself, even though there's the weirdness with the car. And I don't think this should be the end of the investigation. I mean, I hope that the cops, I don't know. I need to look more into the actual evidence that they looked into. I know there's surveillance footage, but just buying a gun, that doesn't mean somebody's not threatening you. You know what I mean? Like, do they have proof she was 100% alone all day? Do they have that proof? Like, when she was going to her car, could they see inside her car? Did they ever see anything? Like her house? Did anyone ever come to her house that day? And it doesn't have to be her husband or the woman she was involved with.
I agree.
So, you know, I wanted to talk about it because it is so tragic and it is so important to raise awareness about domestic violence, because some people don't even realize it's happening sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, they're so mind effed, you know, like that they don't even understand they're a victim.
Yeah. Yep. I agree.
Until something wakes them up from it, because abuse doesn't always have to be physical.
Yeah.
It can be mind games, like extreme mind games, which is what it seems like to me could have been potentially going on here.
Yeah.
And probably was going on here. But all I know is that Mica Miller seemed to be a really wonderful person who had a dream of, you know, doing missions in Africa, dedicating her life to helping other people, especially, you know, children in Africa. And she was so invested in like the church, and she was recently baptized into a new church. And it seemed like that's what's so weird, is it seemed like she was trying to start building a life away from him, like getting involved with a new church. She had just shipped some of her stuff over to Kenya because she was about to go over there, getting baptized, like all of these things. And, you know, you see these videos of her on social media talking about domestic violence and raising awareness. And then this.
Yeah.
And before this, she's being stalked before this.
Yeah.
So yeah, it doesn't make sense. But I do want to remind everyone that usually when somebody's serious about doing something like this, they're serious about ending their life, they don't cry out for help. They just do it.
Yeah.
And it may not make sense, and it may be extremely hurtful. And you're like, why didn't they reach out? Why didn't they say something? I don't know.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, no one will know, I guess.
The only thing I can do is look, you know, there's nothing we can do to bring a life back. So I just send positive thoughts to the families that are impacted by this, because ending yourself is not, you know, there's a lot of people that get hurt. The person that ends their own life is not the only one that gets hurt in that. You know, it impacts other people's lives forever when that decision is made. So I have no idea if she did it or there's more to this. I have no idea. But regardless of whether she did it or somebody else did it, the families are still going to hurt the same. The people that are connected to her are still going to hurt the same. And, you know, I still want to send my positive thoughts to them.
So hold on. There was a comment there I wanted Someone just said
Well,
something.
they can put it in Q&A. What? If it's directed at us,
I hadn't heard that before. It's information.
all right.
Okay, the email that I didn't get to yet, and it's kind of late, you guys.
We'll bring it up again.
We'll bring it up tomorrow because I know that there's documents that I would like to talk about too. But I can bring that up tomorrow and we can talk about it. But I did just see somebody in the chat say that the pastor, Micah's husband, apparently threatened to release some kind of tapes, like homeless camp tapes.
Okay. I mean, threat to me doesn't mean anything, but I would be curious to know what these tapes are.
I would be curious to know what they are too.
Because a threat is just words, you know, that's not evidence.
If you guys know where that information is coming from, definitely reach out to us and let us know, because I don't.
How many people we got on?
I haven't heard that.
So 2,420. Okay. So, and for everybody else, all the links we post, you guys, I don't know how many of you are new on here. I don't know how many of you are here for the first time. We got a good amount of people on. But when we're talking about polls, when we're talking about Q&As, they go on YouTube. That's the only place that we can get them up on. All the other platforms managed separately. Okay. So if you want to engage in the polls, if you want to engage in the Q&A, that is all on YouTube. That is where we post the links. I know we don't show the chat online, like on the video. So you can hop on here. If not, that's okay. We appreciate you and we're glad that you are on here with us. But I'm going to go through a couple Q&A here. I see Theodore. I believe the other people in the other part of the statistics are people that first end the parents. Okay. I think that is in reference to the statistic around family members being involved when a child goes missing. Dara, Brendan, at some point, let's bring up Burkhart's response. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, we got to bring that up.
We'll bring it up tomorrow.
Because it was amazing. And I definitely did watch it. And I think it was super informative. And yeah, you got to watch it and we'll talk about it tomorrow.
Christian, do you feel like the justice system nowadays has become more about conviction numbers than justice? Yes. Yes, I do. Yes, I think the war on drugs has changed that 100% for us. I don't think it was intentional. I don't think there's some conspiracy to motivate us to do that. I think that it just happened once policing became political, unfortunately. But yes, I do agree with that. And I do think there are very good people in the justice system, in the judicial systems, that are actively fighting against that happening. But from a systematic point of view, or systematic point of view, yes, I do think that's the direction it has been going. But I also think we can come out of that too. Is there a crime scene photo? There might be. I don't know. It's not something we can show online here.
No, I'm not aware of any crime scene photograph that's out in the public.
And Love Turtle. Okay. Jay is for Justice did an interview with a guy named Matt. This guy worked with CP and his disgusting Chris Proudfoot, I assume, and his disgusting father. These grandparents are horrible and have something to do with his disappearance. CP mother and stepfather. Go check out that interview. Okay, we'll definitely go check that out. Thank you for that input there.
Sure, yeah, we'll definitely check it out.
And that last one I see is talking about one of those situations where a teacher made a very bad decision. Yes, it's disgusting.
Yeah, and you know, I've heard of so many of those cases, it seems like in the past year, of teachers doing things with like students, and
Yeah.
I
Why?
why?
Yeah, it does seem like it has all of a sudden.
Spiked.
I agree with you. I think that COVID created any of these, just under the skin issues people had, put them on steroids, unfortunately. And I think that we're seeing that. And I think that's why you have experts coming out and saying, hey, we're about to go through a serial killer, roller coaster right now, is because a lot of this stuff has boosted the not mental illness, but I guess meant like insecurities, okay, people's insecurities, and has taken any disorders or things that hold people back and made them much bigger than they actually are. So all right, you guys, you can find us on every major podcast platform. You can find us on every major social media platform. All you got to do is search Thought Riot Podcast, spelled all the way out, Thought Riot Podcast. There is a podcast on the end. Just spell it all the way out. We are on Twitter, and Twitter is the one of a kind here, and it is Thought Riot Pod, P-O-D, Thought Riot Pod. I posted it in the chats here for I should have posted it here. Not that one goes to at least 4 of them. 4 of the platforms we're on. Okay, so I just posted the Twitter, and then for anybody watching here, we do have a Discord. Most people know what Discord is. If you don't, I would highly suggest that you search Discord on hang on YouTube, and it is a Thought Riot focused Discord and chat room. So if you want to continue the conversation with Thought Riot, if you want to continue the conversation with other Thought Rioters and investigations, and you would like to get alerts, and you'd like to come hang out, and you would like to do whatever, right? Come hang out in Thought Riot Podcast's Discord. And that Discord is just now posted to 4 of the platforms, but the other 4 that have the majority of the viewers on them, you're going to have to search us on one of the platforms, either Twitter. I think we posted it recently, where we posted on Facebook, we posted on Instagram, we posted it on YouTube, but not all of the invites are forever invites. They time out. So if they timed out, leave us a comment saying, hey, Brendan, give me an invite and I will send one out to you. Okay. And I'll make it personal just to you. So make sure you hit those thumbs up button. Make sure you hit those 3 stars. Make sure you hit the 5 stars. Make sure you leave us a rating. Make sure you leave us some love. Make sure you leave us some comments under the video, because you interacting with our content, no matter what platform it's on, helps that content get out there and get seen. And, we just went through probably the biggest growth spurt we have ever gone through. A majority of that reason is because of you guys who are watching. The other majority is that, every time our views get messed with, it turns into marketing dollars. So that is another reason why our marketing has jumped up through the roof. But just keep doing what you're doing, because you guys are the real winners here. You guys are the real reason that we are growing. So just keep it up. We appreciate you. And as always, we're going to talk about the content you want to hear. We are not mainstream media. We are viewer-led and viewer-promoted, and we are covering what you want to hear.
Yes, thank you guys all for being here tonight. We appreciate you a ton, and we'll definitely have to dive into some Idaho4 tomorrow. So please be there, and we'll see you next time.
See you on the next one.
Have a good night.